Yeah, the president will be here in a couple of hours. He's right now speaking in Warsaw, Poland, but then he comes here for the G20 summit, which is going to be a very intense, packed schedule of meetings with world leaders, as well as summit sessions over Friday and half of Saturday.
Let's talk about first the G20 summit. Everyone's talking about North Korea, but that necessarily wasn't on the agenda. What is on the agenda for the summit?
The big issues that are going to be discussed will be trade, economic growth, energy production. And the president's looking to talk about those issues and frame it in the context of job creation back in America. Of course, climate change, Syria will also be on the agenda. But you're right, North Korea is taking a much greater urgency now in the wake of this recent missile launch. The president's going to sit down with the leaders of China, South Korea, and Japan. And no doubt this is top of the agenda. Today, the president was already asked about North Korea at a press conference he had with the Polish president, and he said he's not going to speak publicly about what the next steps are he will take and what his game plan would be, but he did say something has to be done to stop this bad and dangerous behavior by the North Koreans. I also thought it was interesting, he says that there are some pretty severe things that they're thinking about at the White House, but he hedged that by saying that doesn't mean we're going to do them.
And then when is this meeting with Vladimir Putin going to take place?
Scheduled for Friday. Unclear exactly the timing of this or what we'll see, if anything, of this meeting. The White House is certainly trying to frame this as just one of the dozen meetings that the president is having with world leaders here on the sidelines of the G20 summit. But certainly this is the most high stakes. This is the most highly anticipated, and perhaps it's the most crucial diplomatic test of his young presidency.
One of the things people are waiting to see is how he and Chancellor Merkel get together after their interesting visit in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, I mean, it was not a lot of warmth when she came to the White House earlier this year, and then after some pretty tense sessions at the G7 back at the end of May, Angela Merkel has been very public and very candid with questioning President Trump's leadership and his agenda. This is, of course, there's politics to this because she's running for re-election, and in a country where President Trump has low approval ratings, it doesn't hurt her to be seen as an international foil to Donald Trump. It's going to help her domestically in her election. But she's the host here. This is her turf. So we'll see if the dynamics are a little different from when she was at the White House or when they met in Italy a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. He's pulled out of TPP, pulled out of the Paris Agreement, and yet this is all about trade, jobs, and climate change. So it's kind of tough to have any friends for America around there after he's pulling out of all these world agreements.
It's really tough. I mean, trying to build consensus on these issues, and, you know, the president has suggested he doesn't believe in all of these large coalitions on those types of issues. The G20 is also interesting because, you know, you're never going to have complete agreement from 20 countries on every single topic, but this all stemmed, you know, before these weren't even meetings that leaders had. This was at a lower level, finance ministers. But after the economic crisis in 2008, they started all getting together, thinking that this was a good way to talk about pressing economic issues. We'll see how much longer they continue, though, of course.
What does the White House say when asked if Trump is going to bring up the election hacking with Putin? What does the White House say?
The White House really does not want to go on the record talking about what the agenda will be, saying, you know, that that'll be determined as they get closer to the meeting, and they're kind of playing it by ear. But a senior administration official tells us it's unlikely he's going to bring it up in this meeting with President Putin because it just wouldn't be productive or constructive and not an issue they want to get in on. That, I think, will be received with a lot of criticism back home, not just from Democrats, but from Republicans who really want to see this administration get tougher on Russia. We'll see what the readout is of the meeting after it takes place.
Karen Travers in Hamburg, Germany. We'll check in with you tomorrow, Karen. Thanks for a little time today.
Have a great day.
You got it. 6:56.